Good morning, my garden and YouTube friends. I'm out here in my backyard. It's the first week in May. I'm in Windermere, Florida, Zone 9B. We're real close to Orlando. We're very close to Disney World. And it's a good time if you live in a climate like this where it's hot for the summer and it's it's warm all year, it's temperate all year long, but especially now because we're just getting into that bug and fungus and all sorts of things that can go wrong in your yard and garden. So just real quick, I'm making a sweep around here and just showing you everything. And you start to get used to seeing things, but each day you need to go out and look and see if there's anything wrong with what's going on in your yard. And so this is the hibiscus that last year, this and the one that's just further on down, got hit with aphids. And you can see I'm getting a little bit of yellow leaf to it, and I will probably come out and hit this with a dormant oil spray, either early tomorrow morning or later on tonight, because we get the afternoon sun, comes here in the backyard in the afternoon, and just to protect that. And also I'll give it some probably some worm tea. I'll make up some castings and soak them and maybe do a foliar spray on that as well. And over here I have my Agapanthus, and I always love to kind of look around this plant, and I just happened to notice that's the first bloom. Can you see that? So that's coming out, and this is actually a group of plants. The way they grow is they'll have one small one, and then that'll have a pup, and it'll have a pup, and it'll have a pup, and then you'll have what grows like a clump. And the roots of them stay really close to the surface level, so you kind of have to be careful. Look, here's another. There's another bloom. So there's a couple blooms. They must be probably coming up all over. But this is really prone to having spiders live in there, and every time I go in, then I get a bite. There's another one. And you can see as your eye adjusts to what you're looking for, that they're going to be everywhere. And so then moving right along here, this is my second square foot garden that I set up, I don't know, maybe 5 weeks ago. And it is just really taken off because the weather was already getting warm. So here was my little teepee that I made, and you can see the beans are growing up the teepee really nicely. I don't have any blooms on this one, but I do on the other. And the red mustard is just, boy, it's kicking. And I had to scold Rick for trying to cut from this side. We want to use the other stuff first so I can finish up with that. Now moving on to a smaller Agapanthus, you can see I've already got 1, 2, 3 blooms out of there coming up. So in another couple weeks I'm going to have some real eye-catching blooms. Now here's the first one that I did, and I did this in January, and you can see the beans are growing up nicely. I even have the blooms. I actually have some little beans starting, and this is pretty much the end of this group, and I'll pull this out, although the basil still looks good. And these are radishes that have bolted and they're blooming. So I'll go ahead and harvest all that, and maybe I can get I'll start another little group of plants to go in there. Here's the other hibiscus that I was talking about, the sister hibiscus, and it looks pretty good. What I really try to look for is, like, see this is a yellow bloom, and what will happen is, now there's still something in there, But a lot of the times, if the aphids get in, they will actually go in and just eat this out, and it'll just be nothing but a shell. And that's kind of sad, huh? Yeah. Um, the sweet potato vines are growing up nicely. These are edible, you know, as are the hibiscus. The hibiscus leaves and the blossoms are also edible. Of course, you want to make sure that you don't spray it with anything or you're ingesting the spray. But here's some sunflowers that I just popped in here with it. Over here I've got my marigolds are all coming up just beautifully. And the carrots are all growing nicely. And I just did a tour back here last week, but I've gotten so much more growth in, I mean, goodness, in just a week's time. It's incredible. And yesterday I showed you my big surprise was that I was getting, I guess that was actually on my Facebook page. But look at this, aren't these pretty? These are my sweet pea vines that are coming up that just look, well, they don't look grand, but they don't look bad. So I'm happy, and let me just, not getting really any smell to it yet, but hopefully soon. I took out, I'll run you down here, I took out the peas, and I'm going to replant those probably with something else. I doubt it'll be peas because it's so warm here that the soil heats up and then the peas won't germinate. I'm guessing most people already know that, but let me tell you, if you didn't know, once the soil gets to be about 75, 80 degrees, peas aren't real happy. And then back over here, this has grown really well and has really been a delight. And the beans that I got, these are just a short bunching bean, I guess it's called, rather than a climbing bean. And I've gotten quite a few. You can see the blooms on it still. And I've already harvested. And I can see I've got more blossoms in there. And I was looking before and I saw some beans. And these are parsnips. I've never had a parsnip. It looks like a big carrot, but I'm willing to give it a shot. And of course my compost pile, I need to empty that so that I can start it all over again. And then we come over to this side where I have more Agapanthus growing. I don't see any blooms on it, not even any hiding. And the liriope in the front. But of course the big showstopper is that it's a plumeria tree, and that the probably, what, 100, 150 blooms. You know, you've got probably, I don't know, 10 on each one of those clusters. And I could shake it down and make a lei or enjoy the fragrance. And then we go to this side and my papaya. Oh, here's some, get out of my own light here. Here's some amaryllis, and I'll just leave those in the ground for the whole year so that those bulbs can get bigger, and maybe next year they'll bloom. They were babies when I put them in. And the papaya is growing nicely. It's probably grown, let's see, maybe 4 or 5 inches in just over a month. And some pentas and some purple fountain grass, and most people don't realize, but caladiums actually bloom, and they bloom, let me get myself out of my own way, and they bloom, it looks almost like a lily or spathiphyllum bloom coming up. Very pretty. Lots of marigolds I planted this year because I really am hoping that they will keep the bugs at bay. The Florida red maple, which actually only seems to turn red in the fall, is coming back quite nicely, really filling out. the raspberry crepe myrtle on its right, my left, and over here past the cardinal feeding station, and then we have the other crepe myrtle. And but you have to get out here and keep looking, otherwise if there are any bugs, if there's anything just starting, the time to get it is when it's just starting. And you can see I've got more plumeria up there. I have more on the tree that I passed over on the side. And the tea plants, I'm not as thrilled with the tea plants. I did this project last year and I got them going, but we had a lot of frost during the winter and it really nailed them. And I know it'll grow out, but then they're going to be, in my mind, too tall. So it's always a project going, you know, and and I like to keep the projects going because it does kind of keep things interesting. So turning around and giving you a different view of it. Oh, well, there's the other plumeria that's growing. So I've got probably 5 or 6 out here that are blooming, and I'll have to get out and do some picking. I've done it now and then, but a little more sporadic than I usually am doing. So anyway, thanks for visiting. Just wanted to give you a weekly update on what's coming out and what's new. I love the sweet peas that are coming out, and hopefully by the next time I see you, I will have redone that first square foot garden over there, and maybe I can get something that's a little more interesting than looking at bolted radishes. I hope you'll sign up for my YouTube channel and come back and visit me again. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.